fans, I'm Kel Kellogg. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please take a second to hit that subscribe button down there so you'll always know when I'm on YouTube talking about fishing. Check this out. See that right there? Big old salmon spinner. We are talking salmon fishing today. I'm going to give you guys a Northern California salmon fishing report, and I'm going to talk a little bit about salmon fishing technique. The season so far, it kicked off on July 16th. As you guys watch this, it is now July 28th. We're a few days from August. So far, the season is proceeding exactly as I predicted. Told you guys you're going to have about a week of good fishing inland, then things were going to taper off as that initial, pods of fish were caught, or as they push on upriver, you're going to have about a week of good fishing, then things would taper off, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road, things would solidify once again, and you would have good fishing right on into the month of November, and that looks exactly like what is happening. Now let's start off at the source. Let's start off with ocean fishing. For several weeks, if you've been watching the salmon bite in the ocean for several weeks, you've been seeing pretty easy, pretty consistent limits on fish that ranged up to about 25 pounds. What are you seeing this week? You're seeing very good fishing in the ocean, but the bite is definitely changing. We're starting to see those super slugs out there, those fish that are 30, 35, 37 pounds. A couple 40 pounders have been reported, but we're also seeing the bites start to fluctuate. Some days, some charter boats, they're getting a fish per rod. Very good fish, high quality fish, but it's not the slam dunk limits we were seeing just a week to 10 days ago. What does that tell us? It tells us the fish are starting to move. They're starting to move around. And, when you start to see those really big salmon mixed in, that means fish are getting ready to start pushing up the river systems. Is it worthwhile going out in the ocean right now? Absolutely. There are 30 plus pound salmon up for grabs. And to me, nothing matches the taste, the table fare offered by an ocean run king salmon. Enough said. But the bite is starting to change, and we are going to see those fish pushing into the river systems really soon. Now, down in Benicia, the shore casters, they've been doing zip. A few guys been out there, they've been throwing spinners, they're waiting for those salmon to come in and take that right turn along the riprap wall there, and they're looking to ambush them, with their Mepps Flying C's or whatever brand of spinner they prefer to throw, but it's not happening right now. But it will be happening very soon. Somebody's got to catch the first one. Somebody's got to catch the second one. So it is a worthwhile endeavor getting out there. That, or you could play possum and wait until you start seeing the pictures on Facebook of guys catching fish off the Benicia shoreline. That is a very exciting area to fish. It's a place that you could catch salmon with very little investment, other than an investment in patience. Those can be the fish of 1,000 casts. But hey, you're standing on the shoreline, you're BSing with all your buddies, you're throwing spinners. It's a fun day whether you hook up or not, and you let a big pot of salmon swing in close to that riprap and you start to see 1, 2, 3 dozen fish caught. Very exciting stuff. It makes the heart pound. Make sure you got a big net. Make sure your tackle's in working order, because you don't want to be on cast 999, make that 1,000th cast, hook a 40 pounder and then not have a net and have old, worn out line and stuff like that. So be prepared with patience, and be prepared with the tools to close the deal if you're going to be down there in Benicia. Typically that bite is very good from mid-August through the end of September, and it can, pretty much go strong into October. There'll be diehards out there throwing spinners in November, but definitely mid-August through the end of September, that's the traditional time out there off the Benicia shoreline. Moving up the system. Other than, way up at Red Bluff right now, which we'll get into in a second, the best salmon fishing in terms of inland opportunity is definitely taking place in the Delta. Now, again, it's not a slam dunk, but guys are catching very nice kings while trolling in the Delta every single day. This is the rig that they're running. They are running either a 3-way or a sliding sinker rig. This is becoming more and more popular. Basically, all you've got going on there, you got braided line, anywhere from 30 to 65 pound braid coming through a swivel, thread on a bead, thread on another swivel to that sliding swivel, tie on a dropper, tip it with a snap, and put on a weight, typically anywhere from 1 to 4 ounces on the weight. This could easily be a 3-way, but guys report that they get more tangles with the 3-way, so this is, getting very popular. This is the way they do it in the Pacific Northwest. I've caught many dozens of salmon on this rig right here. It flat out fishes. Would I not fish with a 3-way? I'd fish with a 3-way too. Kind of your personal preference, but this is probably cleaner, less tangles, and definitely less chance of you breaking off the fish should this sinker get tangled in the net because you tried to rush the net job. So that's kind of the weight setup. Here is your leader, anywhere from 20 to 30 pound test copolymer, try to say that a few times, monofilament. This is 25 pound test P-line CXX. It's moss green. You don't need fluorocarbon line for salmon. It is a reaction bite and they are not line shy, okay? So that leader is about 40 inches long. It leads down to the spinner. In this case, this is a Yakima bait Bob Towman spinner. I've got a lock snap, not a snap swivel. I've got a lock snap on the end of the line. That's where I snap on the spinner. Now, this doesn't have to be a Bob Towman spinner from Yakima Bait. They're beautiful. They're awesome. They're UV. They are proven salmon killers pretty much all over the world, wherever salmon swim. But this could easily be one of my turbo flasher spinners, or it could be the tried and true, the Norcal favorite, the Silvertron. Now this is a red and white Silvertron. The favorite Silvertron is the green one, but Silvertrons flat out fish. Do they fish better than the Bob Towman? I don't know. They get more hours on the water in Northern California, therefore they catch more salmon. But if that old Silvertron gives you confidence because that's what everybody else is using, by all means, get that Silvertron on the end of your line. Whatever spinner you're using, you might consider using some elastic thread to put on an anchovy fillet, a sardine fillet, something like that, just for added scent, added taste. Remember, those guys upriver, when they're fishing those flatfish, they wouldn't think of going out there without putting some sardine fillet and a little bit of crawfish meat on the belly of that flatfish. So why not do the same thing with your spinner? Add some real meat. Kings love real meat. It's going to help you close the deal. Now, before I go into, hardcore technique on how you fish this rig, I would like to point out this rod. This is my salmon halibut striper rod. 3 years research and development on this rod. I just got him in about a week ago. It is an absolutely beautiful rod. It is a trigger stick, 7 foot 6 inches long. It is a fast action rod. I developed this rod for maximum versatility. It's a fiberglass stick. I developed it for river salmon fishing, ocean salmon mooching, halibut fishing in the bay, and both striper trolling and bait fishing in the Delta. It is a flat out awesome rod. It has foam grips. As I said, it has the trigger. Fast action, enough said. Great value, great utility, great performance. It's been out on the Delta for 3 years now. Sturgeon have been caught on it, salmon, halibut in excess of 30 pounds. It is a fish killer. It's a hot rod. You know where to get one. Get on over to fishhuntshoot.com and we are going to ship it out to you with free shipping. Enough said. Let's move on. Arm yourself with the best rod in Northern California, tailored for our fisheries. Now, let's talk about how we're going to fish this spinner. We're going to be out on the water. Now, as I said in a video last week, I don't like to troll against the current because picture it, the salmon swimming upstream. You don't want your spinner coming up from behind the fish. That scares any fish. I don't care if it's a 50-pound salmon. A spinner coming up on the back of its tail is gonna spook that fish, okay? I like to troll with the current, or better yet, at angles to the current. I want that spinner coming in nose on the fish. I want it coming in at an angle to the fish. I want it getting up in the fish's grill. I want it in that strike zone for an extended period of time. I want some real meat on there. I want to trigger that bite. That's my plan. So you're going to adjust the amount of weight you use based on the depth of the water and based on how fast you are trolling. You want to troll just fast enough to have that spinner blade spinning. That's it, no faster. There is no benefit to trolling fast. It's not a reaction bite like we're trying to trigger a big brown trout at a lake. These are fish that don't want to feed. We need to get that bait in their space, crowd them with it, annoy them with it. That's how you're going to draw your strikes. So go ahead, spool that down. You're looking for anywhere from about a 60 to a 45 degree line angle. You don't want your line going straight down, but you don't want it scoped out over there 100 yards. So figure out how much weight you need. Drop it down until that weight just ticks the bottom. You don't want to be dredging the bottom. You don't want to be dragging the spinner through the grass and through the mud. It's better to have it 2 feet off the bottom than it is to be dredging the bottom. Take it down until you just tick the bottom and then get that rod in the holder and watch the sonar. The water gets shallower, you need to retrieve line. The water gets deeper, you need to let more line out, okay? Be aware of where your bait is in the water column. Keep in mind, there are some salmon off the bottom. It's best to be within 4 feet of the bottom. So adjust accordingly, go by the line angle, tick the bottom, adjust the weight you have on there, and then troll that through the zone. Right now, a lot of vegetation out there. It's, July going into August. There's a lot of aquatic vegetation in the Delta right now. That means you're gonna have to check your spinner on a regular basis. Crank it in, see if it's got salad bar on it. If it does, clean it off, get it back down there. You gotta do that because they're not gonna hit it with a big clump of grass on it most of the time. So it's like any other kind of fishing, from kokanee to marlin, attention to detail is very important, okay? So that's pretty much that bite. Get out there, combine that technique with a good dose of patience, put in your time trolling, and you're gonna get your fish. Now, you might consider taking a few striper baits along too. When the tide changes, you might switch things up, go target stripers for a while, because trollers are starting to catch stripers out in the Delta. That late summer bite has always been a sleeper. They're around and they can help break up the monotony of a long day salmon trolling. Now, I'm gonna set this rod down because I wanna show you some other baits. Not much has been going on in the city limits of Sacramento. And if you do want to get out there and troll for kings, the best thing you can pull right now is spinners, just like I showed you right there. Now, as we move into October, we are going to start to see the flasher and the brads combo pay off. October, November, this combination is money in the Sacramento city limits. Run the same weight system I just showed you. Put this halfway down the leader, run that brads out behind that flasher. And again, it's an exercise in patience. Put in your time, use a good deal of scent on the brads, fill that chamber up with tuna or diced sardine, and grind some more. And you might find yourself hooked up to a big 30 or 40 pound chromer. Brad's bite, not yet, but it's coming. It's coming in probably, 6 weeks or so, and then you're gonna have an extended period of time when you're gonna be able to go out in the Sac City limits, grind with this combo right here, and put some very nice fish in the boat. Now, upstream, up, Balls Ferry, up that area, the guys with jet boats, they're doing very well up there right now, especially guys with a lot of experience. The Mike Bogues, the Kirk Portocareros, the Kevin Brocks. Those guys, they fished that bite for so many years. They know where, when, and how. Number one bait is not a quick fish, but this is the only salmon plug I could find. Number one bait is a flatfish in that same color pattern, either the chrome and chartreuse or the pearl white. T50s are working, or T55s. Most guides cut right to the chase. they bust out the T55s. You're gonna back troll them. You're gonna bounce, bounce, bounce. They're gonna be wrapped with sardine meat and some crawfish. That's working early in the day. Some guides run that all day long, but that's working early. When the sun hits the water, you can switch over to back bouncing some row. Some guides never back bounce row. Some guides, Kevin Brock, they prefer to fish with row early in the morning and all day long. So you kind of got to use your judgment. If you're not experienced, if you don't have a jet boat, if you're not a hand at that type of fishing, I suggest taking a few trips with an experienced guide. The Kirk Porter Carreros, the Mike Bogues. Those guys have been doing it forever. They're going to answer all your questions. They're going to show you how to get it done. It's $200 well spent. You will get an in-depth education on how to back troll plugs and how to back bounce row. Okay, and the fish, pretty high quality right now, guys. Later on, October, November, you're gonna start to see a lot of dark fish up there, but right now, there's fresh fish arriving every day. They're kegging up in that cold water up there, and the guides, why, they're getting it on, man. I've seen some nice, guys holding up 2 big chromers, guys holding up 1 big chromer. So high quality fish at this point in the upper Sac, the upper end of the lower Sac, I should say, because it is below Shasta Lake. But anyway, that is the salmon fishing picture at this time. Ocean bite is changing. Benicia hasn't kicked off. The Delta's kicking out fish. Sac City limits will start kicking out fish. And the upper end of the system, that is guide water, but they are hooking up on flatfish, roe, and other types of plugs. I'll catch you next time right here on YouTube. And one more time, if you want to get your hands on one of my salmon rods, get on over to fishhuntshoot.com.